Hello everybody, Justin from the Joker Poker YouTube channel, and in today's video, I'm playing 1-2 No Limit Texas Hold'em at Red Rock Casino, and as you can tell by the title of the video, things get a little out of hand. And with that, we'll go ahead and jump right into it. My very first hand this session, I decided to buy the button, and I guess you could say I got my money's worth because I'm dealt ace queen offsuit here in the small blind for all intensive purposes. There is an under the gun one open limp to $2. A middle position player raises it to $17. A hijack player calls the $17. So now it's on me, and not going to be calling here. Going to be putting in a raise. So I decide that $50 is a pretty good amount to raise to in this situation. The original limper folds. It gets over to the original raiser in middle position, who decides to jam all in. The caller from the hijack folds, and it gets over to me, and I take a look, and he's going all in for under $150, so I decide to go ahead and call. The runout's pretty good. Ace, Queen 10, 3, 5. So top two pair, but it is no good when my opponent flops a set of 10s. Not an ideal way to start a session, but I'm dealt pocket threes on the button the next hand, so you could be getting dealt worse hands. Now, everything's happened so fast that I didn't think to top my stack back off after that last hand, so I'm playing $153 effective when the same guy who I doubled up raises to 17. I decide to call 17, and we see a flop heads up that comes the 3 of hearts, 8 of clubs, 7 of spades. My opponent checks it to me. I bet 20. My opponent calls. The turn card brings the 5 of hearts, so brings out the backdoor flush draw. My opponent bets 75 for whatever reason. Kind of strange that he would overbet the turn after checking the flop, but with a set here, I'm not going anywhere. I'm going to be jamming all in. He quickly calls. The river comes the deuce of clubs, and my set of threes are good here. So kind of strange that my opponent would overbet the turn there. Now, normally, like I said, I would have topped my stack back off. I would have made a much bigger profit on this hand, but those things happen sometimes, and who knows, maybe if I top my stack back off, maybe I lose this hand and then end up becoming even more stuck. So but usually you want to top your stack back off, because I would have been up about $150 after this hand instead of being even. After that, I'm dealt some small pocket pairs, and I'm even able to make a set on one of these boards that I am dealt pocket fives. Yeah, for some reason I was dealt pocket fives a lot, but even when I made a set, everyone folded on the flop, so I just wasn't getting paid off when I would make a strong hand. As you can see, not too much going on this session. I'm dealt ace 10 suited in the cutoff. There's a middle position player who opens to $5, and this is the exact player who is overvaluing all of her hands, right? Just playing way too aggressively when she has something, right? So this is the exact player I want to be playing against, right? So I raise to 20. She calls the $20 raise. We're going heads up to a flop, which comes the ace of hearts, 5 of spades, king of spades, right? So pretty good flop for me. Top pair nut flush draw. She checks it to me. I bet $20. She calls the $20. We go to the turn card, which comes the jack of hearts. So now I pick up even more equity with a gut shot straight draw to go with my nut flush draw and top pair. She checks to me. I bet $40. She calls $40. The river comes the 7 of spades. So now we have the nut flush. She checks it to me, and I misclick and check it back, and she shows that she has top 2 pair, and I say, crap, I just realized I had the nut flush. So yeah, not what you are planning to do as a poker player when you have the nuts to check it back, right? And if you thought I played that last hand pretty bad and backwards, well, wait till you get a load of this hand. I am in middle position here, and I open the action to $15. The button calls $15, and so too does the small blind and the big blind, right? So we are going 4 ways to a flop, which comes queen of spades, 7 of diamonds, 10 of diamonds. So pretty good flop having top pair, right? So the blinds check it to me, and I decide to bet $25. The button calls the $25. The blinds decide to fold, right? So now we are going heads up to the turn here, which is not a great turn card. It's the 4 of diamonds, which brings in the front door flush draw. But for some strange reason, I decide to lead out for $25, and the button calls the $25, right? So, yeah, I am really not playing this hand very well, and I have no idea why I'm not playing this hand very well. But when the river comes the 5 of diamonds, I check it to the button, who leads out here, and I decide to jam all in, completely value owning myself here, because I'm only going to get called by the nuts. And of course, the button calls and has the ace of diamonds in his hand, which gives him the nut flush. Yeah, definitely not proud of this hand, right? And overall, you can see, not my best session so far, right? I decided to reload my stack, so now I am in this game for $500. I make a loose open this hand when I'm under the gun with queen 10 suited to $10. A middle position player calls the $10. The low jack player also calls the $10. And so we are going 3 ways to a flop, which comes queen, jack, deuce, rainbow. So pretty safe flop for me to fire out a continuation bet here of $15. The middle position player folds. The low jack player calls the $15. So now we're going heads up to a turn card, which comes the 9 of hearts. So now I have top pair with an open-ended straight draw. I decide to bet 40, and now the low jack decides to raise to 100. So I've got top pair and an open-ended straight draw, and I'm already in this hand for $40, so I decide to just call the additional $60, right? So now we are going to a river card, which comes the 4 of spades, which is pretty much a brick. So I check it over to the low jack, who fires out another bet for $100. And here, I'm not sure why I thought this, but in my mind, I've got the 10 here, which blocks the nut straight, and I call him, and he flopped a set of deuces. Light call from me looking back on this hand for sure. So after that hand, I decide to reload my stack again. So now I am into this game for $700. I'm dealt king queen offsuit in the small blind, and it's a pretty good hand, right? And the button opens to $14. I decide to call the $14, and so too does the big blind. And we're going 3 ways to a flop, which comes queen 10-3 rainbow. So I decide to check it to the pre-flop aggressor, and so too does the big blind. Now the button fires out a bet for $27. I decide to call 27, and the big blind, he thinks about it for a little bit and also decides on a call. So now we're going 3 ways to a turn card here, which comes the 7 of spades. Now I decide to go off script here, so to speak, and bet $100 into the big blind and the button, who is the pre-flop aggressor. Now the big blind does fold, and the button player thinks about it for a little bit here. And the thing about this bet is now I'm basically pot committing myself, where I could just check call, right, and then evaluate the river and perhaps check call again and maybe even save myself some money here when I look back on this hand. But for whatever reason, I decide to lead into the pre-flop razor, and this is just called overvaluing your hand here, right? So the river card comes the deuce of hearts, which is a complete blank. I jam all in here, and now my opponent thinks about it for a little bit, right? And he decides to call, and he turns over pocket kings, right? So the thing is, I could have just check called the next two streets and probably not going to lose as much money as I did. You guys can see, not the best poker that I have played so far, right? So I'm into the game for $700, out of the game for zero, for a loss of $700, right? So there were just a lot of things that I did in this session, looking back on it, that I don't normally do, right? And normally, you know, when I have a game plan, I stick to it. The one thing I did stick to this session, though, was my stopgap, so to speak. If I reload 3 times and it doesn't work out, then I'm done. So I am proud of the fact that I stuck to that part. But other than that, you know, I talked to a friend of mine about this session, and I showed him the hands and things like that, and he told me, you know, hey, it happens. You just got a little tilted, and you were just trying to make things happen, and we all do that sometimes playing poker, right? So, you know, after talking to him about some of the things I was doing this session, I was able to come back and have a nice session at the Aria, winning $535 there a few nights later. And then, you know, and then I had a session at Sahara where I was absolutely card dead. But after going out with my wife and staying at MGM Grand for her birthday, I decided to go to the poker room in there and made $400. So the thing is, guys, when you have a bad session like that, don't overreact too much, right? You have to feel confident in your skills and know how to be honest with yourself and analyze your mistakes, you know, and just keep pushing forward, right? Because the thing is, you will eventually not play your best. That is going to happen at times, right? But figuring out why you didn't play your best is going to help you learn from those mistakes and come back and be a better poker player in the future. So I feel like I have gotten a lot better since this session. And as you can see from the shaven beard, it's taken me a while to come out with this video just because I've been so busy with work and life and things like that. And also making videos on my other YouTube channel that my wife and I work on together, Mouthful of Las Vegas. So, I did try to film a session at Sahara, but that just did not go well because I was just super card dead. I did manage to catch a lot of interesting hands that I was not in, but I will be showcasing some of that stuff in a video in the future. It'll be more of like a topic discussion for poker in general and things like that. So I do have some good stuff coming out for you guys in the future. And now my schedule is a lot more open now. So just be on the lookout for that stuff. And like and subscribe to the channel if you have not already, so you can catch some of that good stuff in the future, and should be able to get out there and film another vlog for you guys, and that will be up by next week for sure. So I just want to thank you guys for watching the channel, liking and subscribing, and telling me how I can get better in the comments and everything. And I hope you guys have a great day, and I'll see you next time.